So for those of you that aren't like me, consuming every little piece of everything, where things do get by you, Ken Rosenthal tweeted 50 minutes ago, latest notes explaining my NL Cy Young ballot. Not of major concern to you in Toronto. Coaching turnover in Baltimore. Kind of interesting. This is you in Toronto. Yankees interest in Margot. Kind of interesting as well. Hey, center fielder being traded in the division. He had a really good year. But then Jays, a sleeper for Ohtani, question mark. You click on the article, he's a little bit more reserved with the commentary, right? He says, hey, here's the case.
I don't know. Is he? He has a direct report from an executive.
Okay, so then he has, yes, an executive. At least it's one rival executive, not an inside Toronto executive.
Oh, I have a tinfoil hat theory on that too.
Okay.
You want to hear it now or you want to keep going?
Right. Let me just read the sentence.
Okay, I guess.
At least one rival executive views the Blue Jays as a sleeper for Ohtani, period. What's your tinfoil hat?
The rival executive is putting more pressure on the Blue Jays because they know they have no shot at Ohtani. It's like Brian Cashman's like, oh, I could see you getting Shohei Ohtani. It's for sure the Blue.
Everybody get your hopes up. And then if you don't get them,
yeah,
it's totally cool because you were in on it again.
Yeah. Oh, but then there's the other rival executive who's like, they're going to do something big. Oh, you're doing nothing big? You're doing a bunch of small stuff? That's so, it's not going to satiate that fan base.
So he goes into Toronto, will sell it as an international city, right? The growing Japanese population, but then goes and I know. I've never really understood. It's just, to me, it's the money, and winning, and it's like, are you going to win?
You like the Japanese? Go back to Japan. Yeah. Like you can probably get the same money.
Yeah,
like,
that's true. You know where there's the most Japanese population?
Japan. Yeah,
that's true.
Like he didn't come here because it's like, you know what? North America is so much like Japan.
Yeah,
like,
I actually saw an Instagram reel of all the cool stuff they have in Japan.
Have you ever been?
No, I really want to go.
I've been a lot of places. Like my dad's a former pilot. I've been all over Europe. I've never been to Asia. I would love to go to Japan.
I don't know why anyone would leave. Like you would have to be Shohei Ohtani, where you get hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wouldn't it make you anxious to like live on an island? I know it's a big island, but like you get anxious.
This is weird. Okay, we gotta get off this. Actually, no, never mind.
Why? Like an island nation. I actually know some people.
Technically,
who
we're
live
all just one big island. You know,
world's
mostly water.
I suppose.
Yeah.
But I know people who live. Hawaii is a different deal because it is so separated from the world.
No, that's far. That's
and
really,
that is like you actually can't go anywhere. No, but I don't know. I guess it's different living in Japan, but I just look at it as an island, and that would make me anxious.
So that was Island Talk featuring Ben Ennis. For more thoughts on islands, tune into the Fan Morning Show.
Yeah,
every morning, 6 a.m. to 9. I don't really buy the international selling point. I think that's like a nice feature if you are getting all the money and the opportunity to win. The more interesting part of this is that he says the one problem is that the Red Sox and the Yankees are in the division. His priority is winning. He might prefer a club outside the highly competitive AL East. And although the ballpark has a retractable roof, he's recovering from elbow surgery and might not want to have inclement weather. Which
means like in April and May, the Blue Jays play a bunch of road games against teams in the Northeast, in Boston and New York, who do not have roofs.
Yeah. The more important part to this is the exec's rationale is this, quote, any plans the Jays had to sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette to massive extensions might now be on hold. George Springer's 6-year, $150 million contract expires after 2026. The team remains in need of left-handed power. I'll just say this is the way I'll set this up. The Jays are always a bridesmaid. I've never believed that they're getting Ohtani. I've laughed at every single notion that they were actually competitive suitors for him. Seeing Rosenthal put it in one tweet, I'm already fully. This is how I know. This is why I wear the Blue Jays hat to games, right? And I don't wear the hat to the other games. I'm just already. It's worked. It worked. Rival exec, you got the hopes up. I went from 0% hope for Ohtani to 14% hope for Ohtani this morning.
Wow.
Yeah, 14%.
Oh, I really did think you were going to go higher, but
no, that's my hope. That's not that my percentage of I think they're going to get him. That's just I have like a little bit of now when he signs somewhere. Like at one point he could have signed anywhere. He could have gone to the Mariners or the Dodgers or whatever, and I would have said, yeah, of course it wasn't us. I never even had my hopes up. I was 0%. I never let myself get hurt. Now I'm at 14%. I know I'm a sucker.
No, I'm with you, but I was always kind of at 14%. Maybe I'm closer to 20%. You said it was like, the only thing that would rival it as far as unexpected results in sports was Leicester City winning the Premier League, where it was like, literally, come on. Okay, he's going to sign in Major League Baseball. There's 30 teams. There's 10 teams with the payroll probabilities or possibilities of signing him. So it's not quite 10%, but it's like, yeah. Leicester City winning the Premier League title was like 1 in a million. So it's obviously, it always was a higher probability than that happened.
Did I ever tell you that I have a buddy who's from, I went to college with, that is from Leicester City, who supported the club his entire life. And the year that they won, he accepted a job in Iceland and was some researcher of some kind. I don't know. He was a researcher. That's all I know. I don't think he was like digging up the ground and looking at it and going, "Ooh, look at this, old frozen under here." They went, "Yeah, it's cold ground." And he put it in a test tube and he looked at it in a light and he shook it around and he went, "This is why I'm not watching Leicester City." He didn't get to go to any games.
That's crazy.
I know, unbelievable. Truly the worst kind of.
Couldn't have taken some time off, like even a leave of absence.
No, I think it was one of those things where you sign a contract and you have to be on the land for a certain amount of time. You got to be on that icy land.
Oh, brutal.
Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, it was always more a possibility, albeit unlikely, than you ever made it out to be.
Okay.
But yeah, literally, there's a reason why the Blue Jays do get mentioned in these free agent rumors, and there's a reason why people roll their eyes is because, generally they don't spend like they could spend. But the possibility always existed that they could spend. And it shouldn't say that they never spend because, they won the George Springer sweepstakes. They outbid the New York Mets quite literally
more
for
than
his
double
services.
what it costed to get George Springer.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. It's going to be expensive. Real expensive. It's hard for me to say expensive now because my 5-year-old calls it expensive. But yeah, it's going to be very expensive. But yeah, is it possible? Of course. And is there even a financial case to be made that even if he's not producing and the team's not winning, even at like $400, $500 million, Shohei Ohtani pays for himself? Yeah, I think that's very possible. What's also interesting to me that you kind of glossed over and maybe you wanted to get into later is the idea that any plans to sign Vlad Jr. or Bo Bichette to long-term extensions might be on hold.
Yeah, I do. Here's what I'll say about the Ohtani thing. And I'm guessing that this is...
But it ties into it.
Well, no, my last thing on just purely Ohtani before it goes to them. I was thinking about, okay, will they really fork over the cash for him, right?
Yeah.
Will they really fork over the, $500 million? What are we looking at here for Ohtani?
But if he was pitching, it would obviously be $500 million.
No,
and there is a report of out of LA that there's talk that maybe Shohei takes a shorter-term high AAV deal before he returns as a pitcher and just resets the market as his two-way player in a year or 2 years.
That would feel really risky for a ball club to be going, okay, now we're going to take you 3 years later and now you're going to pitch and potentially hurt yourself again. But
I mean, maybe that makes the most sense for a Blue Jays team that has Bo and Vlad for 2 more years, has Kevin Gausman and George Springer for only 3 more years. Like Jose Barrios is the only guy that's under contract beyond 3 years. That's what I'm saying about the extending of Bo and Vlad. Okay, if it's a short-term 2-year, I don't know, $120 million deal for Shohei Ohtani, you say, this is it. And if it doesn't go the way we want it to, guess what? We're going to...
So he gets the supersized Semien.
Yeah.
What did Semien get, $20 million? Something like that?
I think it was more than that, wasn't it? North of $30 million on the 1-year deal?
Yeah.
Because...
You give him $60 million a year. And you say, 2 years, buddy.
Again,
I
would do it. It's not my money, and I'm sure there's and it can't be the only thing you do, right? Like if it's like, oh yeah, we're doing the previous baseball budget where the Blue Jays had like $40-ish million to spend and this is the only move of the offseason. You can't do that. You have to do like, oh, well, this is the Shohei Ohtani money. And we still have the other $40-50 million to spend on the rest of this roster. But yeah, that makes the most sense. It also makes me think of like, okay, the two things combined. Passan saying they got to do something big. Rosenthal.
That's it. It's the unison. And Shai had it.
If they don't
first,
do this,
so it went Shai, then it went Passan. Now when Rosenthal is 3 guys that are all now saying, "Hey, I know you guys are always the bridesmaid, but there's at least a little smoke here. You believe in the smoke. The smoke is real."
Of course, I always believed in the smoke. You don't think the Blue Jays talked to you, Darvish? You don't think that the Blue Jays talked to Daisuke Matsuzaka?
You know what the one for me was? Is yesterday. I'm watching the Bucks game, and I went, did anybody even have a piece on how close the Raptors were to Damian Lillard? Because that was the thing where we were doing like 85 Damian Lillard shows.
Right.
We went, Damian Lillard, Damian Lillard, Damian Lillard. It reminds me of this Zadorov thing right now. I'm like, I wonder what the content would look like, the hours of content that have been spent on podcasts and radio shows and television segments in this city about guys that we could have gotten in sports or that we thought we were going to get. And then we compile it into an archive and go, here's the archives of all the guys that you thought you were going to get. And it just looks like the warehouse at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where it's just, boxes and boxes and crates full of just these takes. It would be great
to compare them to, the actual reality of the situation. I mean, I think it was pretty close, though, because Shams had the tweet. The tweet that Shams had before the real tweet will always be my smoking gun that the Raptors were actually so close, but apparently without giving up OG Scotty or Pascal, and only let Grady Dick and a bunch of first-round picks.
I had the opposite feeling watching him in the Bucks jersey, where I went as if anyone thought he was ever going to come play for a team that didn't have another superstar. But the Ohtani thing. The reason why it makes sense to me is this is very much a market where people show up if the team is winning, right?
Yeah.
Like we saw it when the team was frustrating to watch, that Texas Rangers series that you and I went to.
Yeah.
People didn't show up. What the hell happened with the tickets? They've done all these renovations, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought about the Ballmer thing. I was talking to Bobby Marks yesterday about Steve Ballmer and how they really want to have Harden in there because, God, people are just banging down the door going, we want to watch Harden 2023. Like, get Harden to our team. Then we'll buy tickets. Then we'll come see what the stadium's all about.
Yeah. The toilets at the new arena are more appealing than James Harden if I'm an LA fan.
After going to BMO in a packed house with the Argos and having to wait at halftime for 20 minutes to take a pee, it's just a reminder of just how Ballmer's on it. He's really... The toilet thing got mocked, but he's really, really on it. Anyway,
100%.
My point here is just they're not unveiling a new stadium, but kind of ish.
Yeah.
Kind of ish. Yeah. They can't just run back this team. Like the passing report about, hey, they need to make a splash, they need to do something big. It's just sitting with me going, you're right. They have to do that. And I've been on the, hey, and you have too, of, hey, isn't this actually the time to trade Vlad if you can get in on Soto, right? If you can go get a better player for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., someone that helps you win now in this 2-year window where you do have the renovations, then you should entertain that, right? I think it's very weird, the discourse that happened about Vladdy in the last 48 hours, where all of a sudden he became this untradeable guy to a lot of Blue Jays fans.
You're talking about one person's
Nope,
tweet?
I'm not. I'm telling you, I got dunked on everywhere for bringing it up with Sid. I was like looking at it and like, damn, I got to mute the tweets. I'm just taking too much hate for even discussing this. Anyway, I'm just saying, a lot of Blue Jays fan accounts were like, how could you ever entertain the idea of trading Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? But anyways, the point is, Ohtani is ticket-proof. Or whatever, loser-proof. You're going to want to go to the stadium in Toronto if Shohei Ohtani plays here.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Like people here love an event and they love a star. Yeah. And if you have Shohei Ohtani here, the team could be garbage, which he doesn't want, right? Like this isn't the sales job to him. Actually, no one show him this. No one let him know that this is part of the diabolical plan. But truly, you're going to have sellouts every night with Shohei Ohtani in the city. If you pull Shohei Ohtani and he's on one of the banners that hangs outside the Rogers Center, if you can sell a flex pack and he's the face on the cover of it, you are selling every single game. You're selling every single ticket. It becomes the hottest thing in town over the entire summer.
This is part of the whole financial argument for him. You're selling the rights of your games to Japan. Your Dandy House is like one of your presenting sponsors.
I get that part. Of course, that part, right? The international appeal of Shohei is obvious. My point is just simply, you're kind of sneakily unveiling a new stadium. The renovations are done this year. You want people to come in here. You need to justify these expenses. You need to make sure that people don't start to quit on this team, right? Because if you have the same team, everyone keeps going, oh, the Jays have a really nice baseball team. They got a really good baseball team. They got good starting pitching. They got this, they got that. They should be right around it again. People are going to be pissed off at this if this is a run it back team. They need an injection of something that is going to put butts in the seats beyond just the winning quotient, because I think the early part of the year, you could see a lull in ticket sales if you just bring back the core. And then if they're competent or they're exciting or they're winning, then you're going to start to see people really fill it out in July and August, right? As summer starts to wind down. If you bring in a Shohei, there's nothing that you can do. There's nothing. You could be the worst team in baseball. People are going to come to the stadium. They're going to look at your new renovations. They're going to say, what a success.
I agree with everything you said. The counter would be if I'm Edward Rogers and I just plunk down however many hundreds of millions of dollars I have for phase 1 of this renovation and then phase 2 of the renovation, and I paid into the luxury tax for the first time in my career, and we only won 89 games, won no playoff games, and the attendance was upper half of Major League Baseball, upper half of the American League, but I didn't see a return on my investment. As I didn't see a return at all last year, right? Like I'm sure the books would not put the Blue Jays in the black for the 2023 season. He's like, you want me to spend how much more than I'm already spending? And you presented me with, okay, better than the Yankees, better than the Padres, and better than the Mets, some of the most disappointing franchises in baseball. And we did make the playoffs. There were no home gate revenue receipts. And you want me to outlay another $60 million for this star, and then another $100 million in players, plus the renovations that continue in the lower bowl for next season. I'm not saying that's the argument that should be made or the correct argument, but I could see that one being made.
Can I tell you something? What? I think that it's already signed off. I think that they already have the green light for that kind of expenditure if Shohei is really willing to come here. If Shohei's willing to come here, I think they already have. I don't even think that they're having these conversations. I think it's already done. The issue with Shohei, if he doesn't come here, is not going to come down to, they didn't give him a competitive offer, right? Like, by all accounts, I was actually talking to someone not too long ago. The Garrett Cole thing was real. They threw more money at Garrett Cole than people realize. They really went after him aggressively. He just wanted to pitch for the Yankees. And he also got paid a ton for the Yankees. And that, I think, is going to be very parallel to what happens with Shohei Ohtani. Shohei is going to get every offer from all of these clubs. They're all going to fork over that kind of money to be able to land this guy. And what are the Jays going to be able to sell that goes beyond that? It feels like they're going to have to do the Springer thing, which is, hey, it's not about, are you going to be willing to spend $500 million? Are you going to be willing to do the $600 million for Shohei, right? Or the extra, something. There's got to be such a over-the-top financial incentive for him to ignore the things like, hey, the Yankees and the Red Sox are going to spend in this division, and the Orioles are really good, and Tampa's always good. And that inclement weather stuff with your elbow and all these different, hey, don't worry the fact that our two stars have hit no home runs in the playoffs and three cracks at it. That stuff, don't even worry about it. Here's a bag of money, buddy. That's what you got to be thinking about.
But he cares about winning over everything.
He does. He's done a great job of marketing himself in this way, though. Hey, no one has done better because he's going to get the most amount of money. He's not going to play on a hometown discount somewhere.
You know what? That's why it's weird that there hasn't been more definitive reporting on this. No offense to Rosenthal and Passan, it doesn't feel like there's real tangible stuff about Shohei Ohtani, and people are taking the smallest little morsels and extrapolating it into Shohei Ohtani. But doesn't he feel like the guy?
Well, it's because he's leaving this team, though. He's leaving this team. And he's not going to go back to the Angels, by all accounts. And people, but I think that's the real report of this guy's not a loser. They're basically saying, hey, remember Mike Trout, king of the losers, who's just happy to lose his entire career?
Until he's forced out this offseason. But
you think that's going to happen?
100%. When Shohei Ohtani signs with the Blue Jays and Mike Trout's looking at Anthony Rendon in a body cast, and he's like, you're my running
Rendon,
and the Angels are
they're
like, hey man, you want to go? The Angels are like, hey, this spending money.
Do you wonder what the trade value would be for Mike Trout? That's something I got to ask an insider. Is what is the actual, because he's making so much money.
Buddy,
he's obviously great.
Do it all.
Well, this is
it all. Sign Shohei to all the money in the world, and then trade for Mike Trout, who's going to require less.
I think that's the thing people don't talk about is maybe when you're around Mike Trout, you get hurt.
He's also not a beacon of health the last couple of years.
That's what I'm saying. He's so injury prone that he leaks. It's like radiation. He's he's radioactive.
Oh, Anthony Rendon's looking at him. He's like, why?
Yeah. Why are you hurting me? I just came here to win baseball games with you.
Yeah, I don't. The thing about Shohei is that I think he's a baseball robot. I don't know what he's going to do with all the money. I mean, you want all the money if someone's going to give it to you. But I'd be surprised if he's battling this thing comes down to the last couple of dollars, right? And who's going to go to, as you said, $600 million and not $500 million? Maybe that's the impetus. And certainly his agent's like, no, let's get the $600 million, please. Let's set all kinds of records. But if I'm to believe the myth of Shohei Ohtani, and nothing that he's done in his career or said publicly would lead me not to believe this, is that he is about one thing, and that's playing baseball. It's going home, and it's thinking about baseball, dreaming about baseball, thinking about Ichiro, and then coming to the ballpark and playing baseball. I kind of think this decision is going to be made pretty early in the proceeding. That is why it's weird that there's no tangible reporting on this.
Oh, you think he's going to go first?
I mean, what's he waiting for?
Yeah.
He knows. Shohei, you know who's interested? Everybody. You know who's gonna and if you're interested, you know the cost of doing business.
Dude.
And again, unless he's in it to go like have these teams battling each other for the right of Shohei Ohtani, and once you have the idea of Shohei Ohtani, what's another $100 million? If you really do want to just set the market on fire, and it is about getting every last dollar, then sure, okay, it's going to take into February, I suppose. But I think this thing's going to be done soon.
You just tapped into something else.
What?
My theory always was that the last Blue Jays offseason, the reason why the Varsho trade happened.
Oh, yeah, they're left holding the bag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the Jays tried to make other moves, and then the market got a little crazy. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they went, don't worry, we'll make something happen. We're going to get a thing done. Don't worry here. We're going to change. And they got out ahead of it with Teoscar because they went, don't worry, man. It's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. We're going to trade Teoscar because we'll replace this offense. Don't you worry. Don't even worry about it, brother. And
Who is that? What is that impression of?
I don't know.
Is like kind of Macho Man, but kind of like not. Like, I don't know.
Oh, my Macho Man is that, brother? Yeah, that's, you know who does an incredible Macho Man is Dan Soder. Have you ever seen his comic? Oh, no. It's incredible. It's truly, it's out of this world great.
Yeah.
Anyway, they thought they were going to have a different team. And then they kind of had to work with plan B minus, right? Or plan C, whatever you want to call it. I don't think that any of those goals that they had were their primary objectives. They thought they were going to be trading they thought they were going to be trading Danny Jansen, and they ended up trading Gabriel Moreno. Whoops. Yeah. And they ended up trading him for a guy that they started in the 4-hole who hit 210. I don't know.
To be fair, like now Danny Jansen of the three catchers, he's the second one that you'd rather have as opposed to like the third. We went into last offseason thinking he was the most tradable guy.
No, I would still rather have Moreno. Or sorry, I'd rather have Kirk.
Than Danny Jansen?
Yeah, because he's healthier and his defense took a big step, and I think that the bat will normalize. I've got to believe that what we saw from him early on in his career is not just completely gone. I think he had a down year. Here's what I would say. You know me.
Wow, you're the Kirk defender. I can't believe like you're rushing to Alejandro Kirk's defense, and here I am sitting here like rolling my eyes.
Low. I buy stock low. It's why I bought Kikuchi stock. It's why I bought Malachi Flynn stock. I always buy low stocks.
What about real stocks though? Because like I know the stocks
those
that
I
you
do
own
more poorly on. Those I could.
We own a lot of the
those
same.
I could use some improvements. That's an area of concern. Sports stock. Remember that app where it was, hey, you could buy stock in athletes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wasn't like Arian Foster on that?
Whatever. Had I actually been involved in that, I would be rich. I wouldn't even be here. Because I'd be somewhere else.
Does that still exist?
I'd be with wherever the guys that are talking about colonizing the moon or whatever. I'd be in that group going, so when we get off the who's the arborist here? What kind of plants will we be bringing? That would be the conversations I'm having, not what baseball player will be good. You know, I'd be out of here. I would be out of here on the moon with Elon and the rest of the squad. Point is, I think Kirk, if you were telling me which guy's more valuable, Kirk. Danny Jansen, I love Dano. He's clutch. I believe he's the only clutch Blue Jay. Truly. I think that George Springer was clutch, but then they took away his trash cans and he got old. And it was a double dip of just, he went, both? Age and no trash cans, one or the other, please. We gave some of the other old guys the trash cans. But I think with Kirk, younger, healthier, track record of hitting, and also his improvement defensively is real. It's hilarious because he is truly a guy that we need the stats for to know that he's good defensively, because the eye test wise, you would never think, wow, what a defensive, like he doesn't hold runners, right? There's no sexy arm. It's just,
he did better. Sure. As the season progressed.
But he's no Gabriel Moreno. Yeah.
No, but to your previous point about the jumping the market, doing the thing early.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing a lot of thinking
like
before.
They can't afford to just wait on everything and then miss out on Shohei and then go, what's the plan? And they're like, oof.
Before this Rosenthal report, we were making a big deal about Jeff Passan saying, Blue Jays, something big. And you're like, okay. And Shohei Ohtani is something big. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, what is the big thing? I'm telling you, it's not happening in free agency if it's not Shohei Ohtani. Mm-hmm. Because, maybe you can sell yourself on Cody Bellinger. You're going to have to go up against some of the heavy hitters in baseball in free agency.
And they have to pay so much for Cody.
You're going to have to overpay. Like, you thought George Springer was an overpay? This guy won an MVP.
And he wants to be a Cub.
And, there's reason to believe that the numbers are the numbers that he produced this year, but the idea that
he's still Cody Bellinger.
Guy,
I've seen what Cody Bellinger looks like when it's not going well.
Yeah,
we all got to look at that.
It was a prolonged period of time there at the end with the Dodgers were more than happy to wave goodbye there. So that's not it, and obviously you're not bringing back.
I should
Matt
call this
Chapman.
the Hyun-Jin Ryu test, where it's like if the Dodgers are willing to not pay him, then it's not great.
Yeah.
Although they didn't pay Corey Seager. Yeah. So never mind. The Dodgers test is trash.
Okay. But yeah, so it's not in free agency when it comes to a bat. I mean, maybe it's in free agency when it comes to an arm, but you think of the needs of this Blue Jays team, the rotation's the last place you look, right? Like you can't have too many arms.
I'm zagging on that too.
Sure, okay, get Blake Snell, get Aaron Nola, get them all. Sure, like have an 8-man rotation. Sure, why not?
Actually, not crazy about Aaron Nola. You know this. I feel like I've never seen a good Aaron Nola start until the playoffs. I was like, really?
But they quite factually have 4 starters that, 1, you can count on as far as health, and 2, of a pretty baseline of competence. And man, Kevin Gausman keeps improving his Cy Young Award voting placement this year, finishing 3rd after finishing, 9th last season. Like, yeah, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball and one of the great signings in Blue Jays history because he has hit the ground running here. But you got 4/5 of your rotation, not including Alek Manoah. Like, yeah, could you add another arm? Sure. But that's not where I think about something big. If it's not Shohei Ohtani, what the hell is it? Like, it has to be a trade, and then it's like Juan Soto or bust. But again, you're battling with other teams that have more assets that the Padres might be looking for, which I mean is cheap, like young labor. Like, and they're not taking any money back. This is a pure, like, we're clearing salary, but we want return, but in the form of higher level prospect for Juan Soto. It really does feel like they're pot committed to at least giving it their absolute all, getting Shohei Ohtani.
I did have a conversation yesterday or 2 days ago about, the Jays trading for Soto, and I was kicked back, what about Machado? Because he's got so much money on the books and he's 31 years old.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of an interesting one.
Yeah. I mean, are you eating the whole thing? He also has a full no-trade clause, right?
Yeah.
So you'd have to convince him to leave San Diego where it's nice. And Toronto's nice in the summer.
That was right away, though. I went, yeah.
He plays a position that
I have.
I've been to San Diego.
Yeah.
I've been to that ballpark. It's beautiful.
No, that it's nice there.
Yeah.
There's a reason why people don't care about sports there.
I get it. I get it.
I would not.
But they do
either.
care. They sold more tickets than anybody in baseball in San Diego. The problem is they don't have enough people. And
they sold more tickets
enough
than anyone in baseball?
They more tickets. Huh. That was the deal. It's like, the Padres spend all this money. Why did they have to take out a $50 million loan to pay their players?
Okay.
And they sold the most tickets. Oh, it's because the tickets weren't that expensive because, the market couldn't bear to have them be whatever, $500 a seat.
Okay. So I want to round this out, and we'll close this, and then we'll take a break and go on to the next thing. But I did this yesterday, but I barely scratched the surface of it. I was going to do it a little longer, and then some other stuff came up, and I was like, no, we're abandoning this. I got way too excited about all the basketball I watched the day before. I was thinking about the McDavid thing a lot, right? How they made his agent the CEO. They brought in. I don't really care about the Connor Brown thing because they played junior together. They're friends, I'm sure. But Connor Brown took no money. Anybody would have taken Connor Brown at that cash, right? Like literally any team would have done it. And then they bring in his junior coach as the head coach, and people go, "Oh, this LeBron thing," and we don't normally see this in hockey. Not that I can really remember. Like the Arizona Coyotes kind of did it when Gretzky came in and they went, you got carte blanche, you got like full control here. But that's different. I'm talking about an active player who essentially gets to make real organizational decisions, right? And organizations do this because they're afraid of losing the guy.
Yeah.
This is the LeBron thing. Yeah. LeBron got to have this power because not only was he the greatest player in his sport, but also he was always taking short-term deals, and people were nervous about, hey, if you don't give this guy what he wants, he's going to leave. In fact, even when he was going to leave Cleveland, he was still trying to get them to trade the first-round pick that I think became Darius Garland, actually. No, I'm not sure. Maybe it became Colin Sexton. Either way, it was a lottery pick that they really wanted them to trade, and he was like, trade it for DeAndre Jordan, who's washed. And they went, we have to put our foot down somewhere. And this is where we've put the foot down. But he had the full control. And I was thinking about this in regards to the Ohtani thing, right? Because I said, if I had a list of athletes where you would 100% give them power, I said Jokic would be one because he plays in Denver, right? And he's so great. He's top 10 in every category. He's top 10 in assists, rebounds, points. I watched him just destroy the Clippers the other night. And just, if you pay attention to basketball, like truly, and you are watching more than just the Raptors games, and you pay attention to Jokic and you're watching him even in the finals last year, it should be very apparent to you that he is absolutely unequivocally the best player in the NBA. Like it's not him and Giannis. It's not Luka. It's just him. It's just Nikolai Jokic. He is fully the best player in the NBA.
He's allowed to win the MVP award this year too. After it's not consecutive anymore.
I think that people will be like, yeah, I guess, yeah, I guess maybe we were a little wrong about this. Maybe we should stop with the narrative stuff. Maybe this guy's just really good. Anyway, I thought he's number one. But markets matter for this too, right?
Yes.
Right? It's like where the guy is.
You have to be desperate.
Yeah, Connor McDavid, I think, is there in Edmonton, obviously. It's like if he leaves Edmonton, I went, what do you go to Edmonton? He's the reason you would go to Edmonton. Mm-hmm. You say, hey, let's go to Edmonton in the wintertime. That's not a thing. But you could say, hey, let's go to Edmonton in the wintertime because we'll go see a Connor McDavid game. And you would go, yeah, actually, I would like to see that. I would enjoy that.
Can we wait for him to go on the road?
Possibly. But I'm just, all I'm saying is if you were like, hey, we've got a conference in Edmonton in the wintertime.
Devastating.
And we can see an Oilers game, I would go, yeah, we have to do that while we're there. Yeah. That's the thing to do. It's replaced the mall. When we were growing up, it was the mall, and now it's Connor McDavid.
It's still the mall.
No, he jumped the mall. I think McDavid over the mall.
Okay, but can you do both? Yeah.
Yeah, but if you had to choose one or the other, I would choose going to see McDavid or going to see the mall.
As long as they have booze there, yeah.
Yeah, they do. They have it in both.
Yeah.
There's booze in here.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. That was a little troubling. We went to that really quick.
I'm
Did I have
saying,
booze in here? I was like, yeah, man.
I think all Edmontonians would agree that getting through February in Edmonton also requires some lubrication.
Yeah. But anyways, I had the list of guys that are just unequivocal. It's McDavid. It's Jokic. It's Giannis. Again, we've already seen it with Giannis, right? They made the Dame trade. It might not even be a good trade, but they went, we need to do this. We need to try it. And then I actually have Mahomes and Burrow.
Yeah, Mahomes for sure.
The thing is
the first guy that came to mind.
For sure, Mahomes and Burrow, but it's like Herbert's actually kind of on that list. I actually think because he plays for the Chargers. Yeah, because he plays for the Chargers and
win something.
Yeah, I know, but it's one of those things. But either way, I had Tatum isn't on this list for me because the Celtics would never bend the knee to a star. They would never go, hey, we're gonna just give you reins of the franchise. He's not great enough to take over the Celtics that way. But I did wonder about Shohei because baseball players, this is not a thing because you get so much money, right? Yeah. And it's all guaranteed. And so the idea that you would even get more or there would be additional power in some way. But I thought about the Blue Jays and went, would you cede some kind of control over the organization to Shohei if it gave you an extra percentage point in all of this? Like, do you think a baseball player could ever have this kind of control, ever be great enough to have this kind of control?
He would be the only guy, right?
But he'd have to do both, right? He doesn't pitch anymore, so I thought maybe not. It's like he's a slugger. And he hits 300 and he had 44 bombs.
I would love to know, like I keep talking about this extra financial, the difference he makes financially outside of the baseball side of things.
Would you fire John Schneider immediately if Shohei was like...
First of all, tell me you're going to say he's going to bring in Ichiro to be the next manager of this Blue Jays team. That would be amazing.
Honestly, I wouldn't even be able to go to the games because I would just faint every time. I would just be fainting.
I would wake up. I don't think I brought it to the air.
I would keep waking up and I would look down and I'd see Shohei.
I don't think I did it on the radio, but in the break, I think I made this same joke about
I would actually
Ichiro.
Be ruined. I'd be such a fanboy. It would be disgusting.
And Sadahara as his associate manager because that's now a thing that the Blue Jays do.
Because it's no, I don't like this. This is like when people talk about the Sonics coming back, and I'm like, I don't want to talk about it because it's just, but like.
Yeah, not if you're interested in winning. You wouldn't, because baseball's not a sport where that is one guy cannot have the outsized impact. Of course, as we all know,
unless
it's like
the one
Jokic
guy who's in there always being like, you got to take the starters out after 5 minutes.
All right.
That guy has a lot of import.
Not if you care about winning. If like you're really more interested in the on-field performance of Shohei Ohtani as opposed to the off-field financial gains of having him, but. I mean, you can kind of do both. And because the other thing does exist at such a high level, I think I would. And, is he going to sink your franchise? Because if it's just the manager, first of all, the Blue Jays have already kind of put their hands up and said, we don't really value this thing unless it is Terry Francona, which I'll go to my dying days believing they desperately wanted Terry Francona last offseason and maybe back channel inquired about him. And, and they got DeMarlo Hale, his picked successor, as the associate manager, too, because they're like, maybe...
No, but associate managers are a thing now, because Ricky Weeks just got announced, so it's not weird for the Blue Jays anymore.
Okay, great. Yeah, they were pioneers, really.
I was going to say, did the Brewers even have a manager?
They just hired a guy who's not Don Mattingly, so I don't know his name. But yeah.
Yeah, Ricky Weeks is his associate.
Good for him. Yeah, the Blue Jays...
I have a Ricky Weeks jersey.
Yeah, Ricky Weeks was a fantasy stud for a while. He won me a fantasy
league, and that's why I won.
Oh, buddy, who didn't have their little dalliance with Ricky Weeks about a decade ago?
And what a name to say, Ricky Weeks.
Yeah, it was great. I would give Shohei Ohtani
the
car
like
keys. If Edward Rogers says, hey, you get to name Rogers Center the Ohtani Dome, go for it. I'd let him do whatever because
the Ohtani Dome. That's actually an interesting.
Yeah,
they
Ohtani Dome.
Do that.
No, I would give it all to him because it's a sport with no stars that break through outside of the sport except for one, and he's the guy. And it's like it's a small degree, but holy cow, it's baseball. People talk about a baseball player outside of the context of playing the game. Yeah, he's worth it.
The best part about calling it the Ohtani Dome was that we could call it the Big O and just steal that from Montreal. You go to the Big O tonight? And the French guys would be like, please don't do that. S'il vous plaît.
You're on your impression game today.
S'il vous plaît. Do not call it that. Yeah.